All right, guys, thanks for joining us today. Zach Twardowski here. I'm super excited. We have this Mike DePade.
Yes, sir.
And then Dave Witchard and Alondra Topete. And we are going to train on how to how to increase the ratio of closes in the house. And I thought we were going to have to train on how to pronounce last names for a second because everyone's got pretty crazy last names. So
Good.
I'm glad we got through that, and I'm glad I got this group here, a bunch of people that close a lot of business. Dave and Alondra both. Was this last year your guys' first time hitting Hall of Fame, or was it your second time?
First time.
And then Dave's first time, and then Dave also is a Hall of Fame agency now. So will Alondra be this year. So this is gonna be an awesome little discussion. And then we're gonna start with Mike. So how long have you been with Family First Life?
Coming right up on 6 months.
6 months, got it. And then what were you doing before you started with FFL?
Right before with FFL, I was working for one of the biggest like auto and home insurance agencies in the country.
Got it. So you'd never done anything in like the simplified issue, get leads, go to people's houses, that kind of life insurance industry prior to this?
Definitely not simplified. Did a little bit of we called leads there for auto and home insurance. A little bit of life, but definitely not the space we're in now for sure.
Got it. So when you first started out, how much business, so you've been here 6 months. Month one, how much business did you write your first month in the business?
Month one, we were just super blessed to start. Also super honored to be here with you guys. You guys are beasts. I appreciate that. All glory to God. But first month wrote something in the area of 35,000.
Okay.
In the first month there.
And then you've written about 30,000 every single month.
For the most part,
For
yes,
the most
sir.
part. Got it. So what we want to talk about is how people can go from, maybe writing, 10, 15,000 a month. And of course you have to have the leads, appointments, all that sort of stuff. I think everyone gets that 30 appointments a week is the standard, right?
Yeah.
So what are a couple of things that you think you've done in the house from the beginning that have allowed you to write 30 grand a month? Because our average agent does 10.
Right.
If someone's watching, they go, how do I get from 10 to 30? What am I missing? And if you have 30 appointments a week, what are you doing in the home that allows you to go, I close more like 50, 60, 70% rather than 10, 15, 20%?
Yeah, that's great stuff. So, first of all, guys like you and Dave and Alondra have really paved the way, just establishing the culture of being a student of the game. Like that's really, I think it was Dave who asked me in the beginning, he goes something to the effect of, he's like, if you knew that this was the vehicle that could accomplish all the things you wanted to, like how much would you give to that vehicle, And I just think we can get in our own heads and say, oh, well, we're putting this much time in, or we're busy for this many hours, because a lot of us have that employee mindset before we come something that's truly our own. And so, you get into it and you're like, oh, well, I'm running this many appointments, I'm on the phone this long, and you're thinking to myself, yeah, I put in a good day's work, right? And but the reality is, like, this is our business and this is our baby, and the only thing that's going to move the needle is how much we're willing to give towards improvement, And so at the end of the day, you kind of just got to do an inventory, like how much am I willing to invest in building my kingdom, my territory, because I've worked my whole life building somebody else's kingdom, and doing a can. So what are practical ways to be a student of the game? I mean, first of all, Family First Life makes it so unbelievably easy with the extraordinary just volume and amount of training. I mean, if you're plugged into any group, then one of the first things that, especially in our group, we do is we send out the schedule of the trainings every week. So just you want to improve not just your closing ratio, but anything in this business, whether how you are on the phone, you're in home, how you set the table, things like that. Training is like the first thing you got to do. You just got to say, you know what, we work 40 to 50 hours a week in our business. I'm going to set aside 5, 10, 15 hours a week to work on my business. And so business owners want to get better and be more efficient and increase, the bottom line. So that's one of the number one ways we can really do that here.
Yeah, so you're talking basically training and finding. So how did you do that? Did you look for specific things you were struggling with? Did you seek out people that you related to? Or what can someone do if they're starting out to find the right kind of training?
Right. I'm not familiar with any group that doesn't have a boot camp. Okay. So the good news is we're not trying to reinvent stuff. That's kind of Dave's thing. It's like we're not gonna, if it's not broke, don't fix it. We don't want to use a bunch of worn out sayings, but the truth is the truth. And so when something's proven, that's what boot camp is. The boot camp is your leaders that you've decided to go into business with and kind of partner with in your journey. These are videos that they, first of all, handpicked, that say, hey, this is going to set you apart. This is going to help you get ready to get rock and roll, especially in the beginning. But on top of that, that's something that we're actually evaluating all the time. A week ago, Dave asked something about on a leaders call. He's like, is there something new we need to get into the boot camp? Is there something like, because there's always so many people with fresh perspectives and they're showing different things that are working, which when you have such a plethora of options, you can find what really relates to you and like what's your style, because your style may not be my style and Alondra's style might not be Dave's style, but somebody's style is my style, and I kind of grab little pieces from all of it. So the first step is your boot camp for sure. I can't stress that enough, because your leaders, like, just trust them enough to say they know what I need to hear,
Right.
And then after that, as far as once you've been exposed to like kind of the wide array of all the different types of communicators, different sales styles and things like that, you can kind of lock in on people that you really identify with. And all of you guys do such a great job of making your content available, whether it's through YouTube channels, Facebook Lives, things like that. So you can kind of like find someone that you really connect with and follow their stuff, and it'll really help you out.
Awesome. Give everyone one thing that they should, like, that you see a lot of newer agents that they don't do in the home that you think allows you to write 30 grand consistently.
If we're being abundantly transparent, when you're new, it's calling your upline in the home. That's the first thing.
Yeah, break that down. So when do you call and what do you say?
Well, it's crazy how people aren't willing to do this. I don't understand it. Like, you can tell somebody over and over again, like, just call me in your appointment, and then they'll go 5, 6, 7, 8 appointments, and you don't hear from them. Then you think they're not working as a mentor, but you're not going to like micromanage them. So anyways, what I do, so in the beginning, Dave, I call Dave, Dave, don't overthink it, Witchard. That's kind of his tagline, So every time he does a talk at any event, at the top of the page, I put Dave, don't overthink it, Witchard. And so I just kind of, take notes there. But his whole thing was, he's like, Mike, listen, let's not complicate things too much. He goes, if you want to, you can become an expert on every medication that anybody could ever take. He goes, you could understand every single height and weight chart. He goes, you could focus on all that. And I know you've been in the business before, so you have kind of a desire to be extra proficient, because in other walks of life, Zach, we're kind of encouraged to be the guy who has all the answers, or gal. And so his whole thing was, bro, get in a home. Step one, just get in a home. And first off, run Americo, because there's a reason why we like them so much. They're super great for the customer, and people are getting covered quickly. If it doesn't go well, okay, call me. That's as simple as that sounds, Zach. That's what happens. Right. It's like, hey, no. And then it's so funny, because I love working with new agents. I'm obviously here and available, just like people have been available to me. But I will probably say that same statement at least 6 times to a new agent before they finally are like, so you're saying I should run Americo in every home? It's like, yeah, just try that first. And then from there, give me a call, And then over the course of time, you start picking up where I'm headed next. But it would just be something like this. So I'm ringing you and you pick up, Zach, and I'm in the home.
Hello?
Hey, Zach, this is Mike here. I'm sitting here with Miss Alondra and Mr. Dave. We're looking at a couple different things here, just calling to get a little bit of information from a senior underwriter. Do you have a moment?
Yep.
And so the goal is to quickly let you know I'm in a home, because in fact, Alondra did it 2 seconds before we started filming this. She took a call and said, hey, are you in a home? So we want to establish that. It's like when my wife calls and I'm on the car phone and I got buddies in the car. It's like, hey, honey, I'm just sitting here with Dave in the car and you're on speakerphone. That's a insurance mechanism to not get killed by my wife. But same thing with your leaders, honor their time, because Dave's got a billion things going on. You guys have a million things going on. And honestly, if you're trying to be any kind of leader, you're going to have a lot going on. We're working. That's what we're doing. We're in the field. So just establish right away, hey, I'm in a time-sensitive situation. I'm sitting at a table. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is have like actual information for them. You really want to pre-qualify that call, because like the last thing I want to do is bother Dave with nonsense and be like, I didn't ask that. Zach, what did you say you did? Oh, no. So what is the information I'm going to have for them? I'm going to tell them how old they are. I'm going to tell them if they're a smoker. I'm going to tell them, hey, I tried Americo, got declined. I'm going to maybe give them some insight as to why that could have happened. We're going to obviously dig a little bit. They take this medication, they have this diagnosis. Just straight to the point, very concise. And then that empowers my leader to lead me effectively through that moment. And so that's a big thing in the beginning.
Good. So you basically have the entire financial inventory sheet filled out, all of it. So you're not going, Alondra, how old are you?
Right.
Oh, how much do you make? Oh, what? Because we've all experienced that too as leaders, right? So you go through, have everything filled out, and then you can give them a quick answer, and then they know what to write. And if it gets declined, call back again. Don't call once you leave the house, right?
Correct. Yeah, definitely call back again. Yeah. Definitely call. That's it. There's the biggest policy in any of my partners have written that I get to I don't always use like my team. I don't own them, but these people who have decided to work with me. The biggest policy that was written, he was 5 months in to working with us, so he was not brand new. It was over $650 a month. He called me 6 times in that home, just to make sure he had everything right. And it wasn't even a bunch of declines either, Zach. It was just like further questions that he hadn't experienced before. And so he said, hey, I just want to be sure I'm telling you the truth. And so he did a great job with that. And I think if we could all learn from that.
Yeah, and I think the clients appreciate that. I always told the clients in the beginning, I'm going to be super honest with you. I ask you to be honest with me and transparent with me, meaning, you give me a yes or a no at the end, not I want to think about it. And I promise you, if I don't have an answer, I'll find out the answer.
Exactly.
And I think that if you don't try to pretend like you know everything, the clients really appreciate it.
Right, absolutely. And if you just tell them, hey, I think I know what to do here, but I want to know for sure. Yeah. Like I want to be certain. And so I'm going to involve a senior underwriter. I'm going to get their input here. And then from there, it really establishes a ton of credibility
and third-party validation too, which is great.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Exactly. There's that old saying that we used to teach in another company I work for is people believe 50% of what you say, 75% of what someone else says. So like when you say, a lot of my clients think this or something that has more validation than what you say, and they believe 100% of what they say, right. So that's kind of different. But regardless, that third party is just like, hey, no, there's an agency somewhere with people who know about underwriting and who can answer this question. So
awesome, dude. I appreciate the feedback. Hey, if someone's watching this and they want to work with you, what's your phone number?
To get me, it's 850-363-9865. Got a Tallahassee area code, even though we're in the Jacksonville area. And you can get me and we'll, just see if it makes sense for you. That's a big deal.
Awesome. All right, and let's move over to Alondra real quick now, and get a little bit of feedback from her and Dave. So Alondra, we were talking outside. You said your best month was $85,000, right?
Yes, that is correct.
Did you write $85,000 from the beginning?
Absolutely not.
Okay, cool. Me neither. Everyone's like, you probably always killed it. I'm like, dude, my first 6 months were really rough. Like, I don't think I got over 15 grand. So, if you're watching it, just don't quit. You'll make a bunch of money.
Absolutely.
What is something everyone something specific you started doing in the home that changed when you were writing 10 grand to when you started writing like 80 grand that 1 month?
So I would say definitely activity. That was, I think, a big thing for me. I just wasn't running enough appointments. I was just tricking myself saying I was full-time and I really wasn't full-time, So that was one thing that I had to change. I had obviously increased my lead flow. I wasn't buying enough leads. I wasn't spending what I should have been spending in order to make what I wanted to make. And then, of course, now being in the home, I think it has a lot to do with your closing, with how confident you are. Confident in yourself and knowing the products that we offer. And if you're there for truly helping them, it's really a done deal because we're just taking orders and we're finding which product is going to be beneficial for them. So when I started taking that approach, my closing ratio went through the roof because I was taking my time building the need, properly filling out a financial inventory. So I would have nothing left blank. Find out if they had life insurance, who their beneficiary was, and I'd get names because I refer to them as their names. Hey, what are we going to be leaving your daughter Mary? How's that going to look like?
That's
when
huge.
you don't come home. And I think that's huge because it's you're paying that perspective to them that maybe they hadn't thought about it. Maybe they were just thinking about, I'm thinking about getting insurance, but just you putting that picture into them, it completely just it just changed everything. It wasn't like I need to think about it. It's like, what are we going to do to leave Mary, taken care of, and just being able, leaving everything on the table. So I think at the beginning, I'd always go into my car and I'd be like, dang, I should have said this. Why didn't I challenge them a little bit? And once I had the activity you kind of force yourself into being confident. It's not like you're going to be because you don't have time to go back in your car and think about, I should have said this. You're just going to say it all how it is. You're either going to kick me out, you're going to be super thankful, and you're going to be, giving me a bunch of hugs when I'm walking out the door because I fought for your family. So I just started challenging people. They throw me objections and I throw it right back to them.
Right.
What's that going to look like? Paint that picture for me. You don't have anything now. You waited 75 years to get this taken care of. Why, what's another day for you? So just stuff like that.
I totally agree. Like the thing I said where I always ask for a yes or a no at the end of the appointment, someone told me to do that 3 months before I started doing it, but I was scared because I was like, I have only 20 appointments this week. What if they say no in the beginning? I don't even get to go through the rest of the appointment. And I was terrified to do it. And then I started running so many appointments and I was making it an hour in. And then Alondra was like, I'm going to think about it. I'm not going to do it. I'm like, God, I waste all this time. So I started doing it out of being frustrated. And I'm like, now they're all buying. Crazy. One tweak just by being more confident, more assertive. So.
At the end, what I love it is I got this from Stephen Yee. It's like, okay, you're going to sign or you're going to decline this coverage. My job's to either close your file. You're either going to protect your family or you're not. So if you get this or not, that's fine, perfectly fine with me. Just sign this. Oh, I don't want to close my file. Okay, then we're going to see if we can get your coverage, and that definitely helped a lot of people that were like, oh, I need to think about it, to like, hey, well, I'm going to close your file. You don't have to see me again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like you just care. I care about your family. You told me you need it. This isn't for me. I have 8 other people I have to see today. If you don't want coverage, that's cool. I'm just not coming back. Yeah. Well, I don't want. I want to do it later. Like, oh, well, then you have to do it now. So I love that. It's great. And if you haven't seen Stephen Yee's training on that, it's amazing. So, okay, so Alondra's 22 years old, right?
Just turned 23.
Just turned 23.
Yeah.
You're getting old. Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Just turned 23. Wrote 500,000 last year.
Yes.
And has an agency doing $1 million a month. So if
Yeah.
you want to work with her, how can they get a hold of you?
Just call me, Instagram. My phone number is 661-817-0877. Call me, get right back to you. Text me, whatever's easiest. And I have Instagram. It's just Alondra_Marie. Just
Awesome.
Find me.
Thank you, Alondra. All right, Dave. So Dave, first year with Family First Life, been in the business previously, but first time doing where you call leads, go to, call leads and set appointments, go to people's homes, right? What's one tip you can give everyone to take where they close from 30% of their appointments to 70?
Well, so I would say you got to share your heart. You got to share that you care about them. Be transparent. I think I always want to find out who their beneficiary is as soon as I possibly can in the situation, and because who's going to be hurt. Finding the name like she did, I would do that because you can always come back to that. Because if Sally, her daughter, whatever, just you keep coming back to that. Setting expectations up front, telling them exactly what I'm about to do.
What does that look like for you?
So I'm going to say, stuff like, hey, first of all, I'm busy, right? I mean, I think that if you fill your calendar, you're busy. It's easy to say that. So I sometimes I would actually show them. Like I would show them on my iPhone, or I'd actually have this little sheet. I'm just simple, dude. I had a paper with me and with their name on it. I would show them all the appointments that I had. And I'm saying, I'm really busy. I got a lot of people to see, but while I'm here, we're going to get you taken care of. So I always set the expectation. We're going to get you taken care of. I always talk about their family situation. That was a word I used. I didn't talk about price. I didn't talk about, I'm going to help your family situation the best I can, which is basically me telling them I'm going to get the best price and value for their family, right? But I would say it that way. And I would say one of the things I tried to do, Zach, is as I worked with budget, I mean, that's just how it was. And especially, I think it helped me with my I don't know, I want to say it's 86, 87% or something with America. I don't know. I mean, for me, that seems pretty good considering the amount of business that we wrote. And I just know that because Aaron tells me that's what it is. But one of the things I always try to do was I looked at, especially I'm just using final expenses as an example. But if I'm with Mary, I want to find out from Mary, say, Miss Mary, if you had a savings account, which most people do, you're probably like most people, you save savings. I'm just going to treat it like they do, even though they may not, and just say, what is an amount of money you could set aside each month, okay, essentially for your family and yourself that would not take food off the table, not change the way you're living right now, right? Because that's what's important. Because what the most important thing today is obviously getting you covered, but really it's not up to me and it's not up to you. It's up to the carrier. So what I'm going to do, I have 20, 30, I have a bunch of them. I have certain ones I work with a lot, okay, and I'm going to get you the best situation for your family, okay? But ultimately, we want to find what's going to work for you, right? And again, not up to them, not up to me. It's up to them, it's up to the carriers, And so with that, what would that amount look like? Is it $50 a month, $100, $200, $300? I know people say $300, $400. I have people that they can only afford $40 or $50. I mean, that's okay. Your budget is your budget, right? And I have to use that word because you might be your neighbor. Your budget's different than mine, than my neighbor, whatever. But I'm talking about you, and then I want to get a number out of them. And let's just use $100. She said, I can do $100. I may even go below that, but I'm going to use $100. So, Miss Mary, you said you wanted, let's just use $15,000, okay? I see why you want $15,000. We've already talked about that. But so what I'm going to do, and I'll have my iPad. I'm not going to show it to them. Now, one of the things I did is I turned my iPad around and showed them all the companies I work with. I used FFO Go. I clicked on it, and I just kind of went down and I showed them. That's just what I did. And I turned around. So you can see I have all these companies. We're going to figure out what's best fit for you. And then I would just, at that point, I would usually you could use Prosperity. They're, price point, they're pretty low, on their standard. So I would maybe write that down. And then the next one I might do, obviously want to be Americo. So I want to look at that, but maybe, and then I would put AIG at the top. Why? Because that's going to be the most expensive, right? So I would have a range. So if I wanted $15,000 and Prosperity said $15,000 for, let's just say it's $100, right? But then America's kind of where I want them to land or whatever. maybe it was like 90 for that. It was like 100 for America, let's just say, or whatever. But it was for like 13.5 or something like that. And then AIG would be like 11 or something, right? So then I'm gonna say, Miss Mary, well, it looks like to me we should be based on the carriers. We put your information. I'm asking more questions. I know you said, I already kind of have some basic information because I was simple, like heart, stroke, cancer. That's it. That's all I want to know, dude. I still don't know where to look for that stuff. Couldn't tell you. Don't care. I mean, I don't. What medicines? Okay, you got some medicines. What are they? Okay, what is that? I don't even know.
Right.
I mean, I really didn't. So.
And his team does $2 million a month, so y'all know.
I mean, like that's the thing. I was telling somebody, that quote, I was like, yesterday, look, go out there and get bloody, get crazy, like Sean talks about. Just, that's how I am. Dude, break stuff, whatever, figure it out. Go out there. We hear 100 appointments. I mean, it wasn't even that. I just didn't overthink it. Figure it out, Let them, ask the questions. They answer the questions. MIB's going to tell you what they're going to tell you. And if they go with the Eagle, then grow. If it's HMS, same thing. And then call somebody, like Mike said. Right. But as you got better, you kind of knew where to pivot from that. And if I didn't, then I'd call Trey or Albert or somebody. I mean, I'm just saying, I didn't call Andrew. You know what I mean? I didn't have him to call. Well, anyway, so back to that. So then I look at them and I say, man, it looks like we're going to be able to get you covered and keep you in your budget, right? It's going to get you coverage somewhere between on the low end 11,000 up to about 14,000. Let's just use that number, and that's because of the amount of coverage you're wanting, and it's going to be based on the carrier that'll take you. Okay, and I just set that standard, so we're going to get you taken care of. Sound good? Great. And they might say, what 12? And I understand that. I can show you. But you got to understand, let's start here. We're going to go with our platinum carrier first, and we're going to be able to get you about 13,000, 14,000 for them, okay? But they have to take you. Fair enough? And then I just move into it, right?
It's very assumptive.
But ultimately, I just want to make sure when I leave there that I feel confident they can pay for it. And so even if I have to back down, let's just say they had to go to, an AIG or, another carrier that is guaranteed because their health's bad. We find out there's just something we just can't overcome.
Right.
Normally, we know that right up front, but there's certain cases we just don't know. I know what you wanted. I get that, but I can get you 8, 9, 10,000, whatever the number is, right? But at least we can get your family can bury you and take care of you today, right? That's the ultimate thing that we talked about when I came in. I was not going to leave you in the same situation when I got here. I was going to make sure your family was okay, and it sounded like it take care of you if something died, right? That's what you wanted, right? Okay, great. I understand you want 15. Let's start here. I'm not telling you to cut your cable off today or do this or do that. We'll revisit this in a few months. I'll come see you at least once a year. If you want more coverage, you call me. I'm your guy, right? And then, of course, Alondra, like we were talking about earlier with the pictures, I'm like, I'm going to go to the car. After I close them, I go to the car and get the picture and, all that and, kind of solidify it. So that's how I did it.
Awesome. Yeah. So correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, but I think the 3 things that were in common with everyone was good activity so that you don't have commission breath, right?
Right.
Because you have enough appointments, you're not going to be like, oh gosh, I got to sell Alondra so I can pay my electric bill this month. You'll be like, dude, I'm so busy. I just buy it or don't. I want to help your family and you need it, but I got 8 other ones. So high activity, care about the clients, and understand that you have to be assumptive and professional, and you can be more confident because of the first 2, because you're doing the right thing for the client and because you have high activity.
Yeah.
Cool.
Another thing I did, Zach, too, just real quick, and these guys do that too. I built 5 staff, right?
Yep.
But when I had 1 or 2 or whatever, I told them that because where Mike came from, they had an office, right? And half the people that do business there do it because they see their name on TV and they charge more than anybody, but they're the person right down the street or your good neighbor right next to you. I'm just saying, and so they, whatever, and so. They, that's what they're looking for. So I want to let them know that we have that same office. You know what I mean? And if Mike doesn't have one, guess what? He works with me.
Right.
Our corporate office has 5 full-time staff there to help you, and we have, so they want to know that. I'm just saying. I did it. It wasn't just me. I wanted to let them know the bigness of what we had. So.
Absolutely. All right, and then so Dave's team does $2 million a month now after a year and some change, and he wrote $400,000 last year. So if anyone's watching wants to work with you, how do they get a hold of you?
It's Dave, 704-712-4221 or fflvelocity.com.
All right, guys. Thank you all. Hopefully everyone got some value from this, and I appreciate